Imagine the entire planet staring at one tiny ball. People who have never met are shouting at the same time. Cities on opposite sides of the world are holding their breath in the same second. And sometimes, when that ball crosses one white line, millions of people cry, hug strangers, or fall completely silent. So why does the World Cup take over the human brain? On the surface, football is simple: a field, players, a ball, 2 goals. But inside the human mind, the World Cup is not just a sport. It is a giant ritual. It is a global story, and it wakes up instincts that are much older than stadiums, television, or even the idea of being a fan. Start with the smallest thing, the ball. It is simple enough for almost anyone to understand. You do not need a long manual to know what matters. The ball must go into the goal. That is it. This simplicity makes football feel like a universal language. You may not speak the same words as the person next to you, but you understand the gasp when the ball almost goes in. You understand the silence before a penalty. You understand the hands on the head when a chance misses by a few inches. The World Cup begins with something almost everyone can read. But simplicity is only the first layer. The real hook is uncertainty. The human brain loves events that are half predictable and half unpredictable. If everything is predictable, you get bored. If everything is random, you stop caring. Football sits in the dangerous middle. The better team can lose. The underdog can win. One kick can change a country's memory. And for 90 minutes, you never know which second will become history. Your brain waits. It waits for the reward. It waits for the explosion. It waits for the roar. Dopamine, the brain chemical linked with motivation and reward, is not only active when you get what you want, it becomes powerful when you are waiting to find out whether you will get it. That is why a shot that almost goes in can make your heart jump harder than an easy goal. The most addictive place is the moment before the answer. The World Cup stretches that moment across an entire match, an entire tournament, and sometimes an entire lifetime. Some fans wait weeks, some wait years, some wait their whole lives for one night to finally feel different. But there is a deeper layer than suspense. That layer is identity. Human beings are social animals. Your ancestors did not survive because they were the biggest or strongest creatures on Earth.
They survived because they belonged to groups. They knew who was with them. They knew who would stand beside them when danger came. So the human brain is extremely sensitive to group symbols: colors, songs, chants, flags, gestures. In a stadium, these may look like decorations. To the ancient part of the brain, they are signals. They say, you are not alone. When millions of people wear the same colors, they are not just choosing clothing. They are telling their brains, today, I belong to something bigger than myself. This is why strangers can hug when a goal goes in. In ordinary life, you probably do not hug random people in public. But in that second, they are not random. They are your people, at least for a moment. The World Cup creates temporary families on a massive scale. They form in stadiums, living rooms, restaurants, trains, streets, and phone screens. And when huge numbers of people feel the same thing at the same time, the brain reads it as important. Emotion is contagious. A roar makes you more likely to roar. A gasp pulls you in. The face of another fan teaches your body how intense the moment is supposed to feel. Neuroscientists often talk about systems in the brain that help us mirror and understand the actions and emotions of others. You see people tense up, and you tense up. You see people jump, and your body wants to rise. You see people cry, and suddenly it does not feel like just a game anymore. That is the power of the crowd. Not always irrational, but amplified. One person's feeling becomes louder when millions of bodies echo it. Then the World Cup adds story. Humans do not only love competition, humans love narrative. A small team faces a giant. A forgotten player gets one last chance. A child once watched with a parent, and years later that same team returns. A country has carried disappointment for decades, and now it has one more chance to rewrite the ending. This turns a match into a human drama. On the field, there may be only a few dozen players, but inside the audience, there are memories, hopes, fears, childhoods, families, and old disappointments watching too. That is why people cry over matches they never played. The team is not just a team. It becomes an extension of the self. When the team wins, part of your brain treats it as if you have won something too. When the team loses, the pain can feel personal. Your rational mind knows it is sport. Your body does not always care. Your heart speeds up, your hands get cold. Your stomach tightens. You walk around the room. You talk to a screen, even though no player can hear you. This is your body responding to safe danger. In one sense, the World Cup is a ritualized battle that should never become a real battle. There is our side and their side. There is victory and defeat. There are heroes, mistakes, drums, chants, and rituals. But at its best, it ends with rules, handshakes, and people going home alive. Human beings need places to compete. We need places to feel pride. We need places where emotions that are usually buried can be released. The World Cup gives that place to the entire planet at once, and it does not happen all the time. Scarcity makes it feel larger. If it happened every month, it would not carry the same weight. Because it returns in big cycles, people attach their lives to it. They remember where they watched, who was in the room, who screamed first, who went quiet, who called after the final whistle. The World Cup becomes more than sports memory. It becomes a timestamp in a person's life. Like a song that brings you back to a certain year, a match can bring you back to a room, a street, a family, a version of yourself. And the internet makes this even stronger. Once you celebrated with the people near you. Now you can see the whole world reacting. Clips repeat, arguments spread, memes appear, analysis multiplies. A 10-second moment on the field can be replayed billions of times across screens. The brain keeps receiving the signal. This matters. Everyone is talking about this. Pay attention. And humans are deeply sensitive to being left out of what the group is watching. Not because we are weak, because in the past, missing what the group cared about could mean missing danger, opportunity, or social status. So the World Cup becomes a competition for attention, not only on the field, but inside the minds of viewers. By now, the madness starts to make sense. It is not just the ball. The ball is the tiny center where everything gathers. Uncertainty, identity, ritual, story, memory, scarcity, and the feeling that millions of people are breathing with you. That is what the World Cup can do. It makes a divided world turn toward one simple object. Sometimes it separates people into sides. Sometimes it makes them argue. But at its best, it reminds humans that we can still feel something together. And maybe that is why it is so powerful. Deep down, people don't only want to know who wins.
They want to feel that they are inside the same story. So the next time you see a city explode because of one small ball, do not only see people going wild over football. Look one layer deeper. You are watching the ancient human brain wake up. A brain that loves stories. A brain that fears losing. A brain that wants to belong. And a brain that can turn one tiny ball into the heartbeat of the world.